The batteries are on. All the little recording things are on the cameras.
Yep, they've been going.
You can see the palette.
Okay, be careful what you're saying now, because we could be live any seconds. Be looking at the camera. Yep, we're live. We are live. The first show, well, the first official show, Ginger Crumb, live from Houston, Texas, with Ginger Cook. Ginger, come on down.
Hey, John. Hi. How are you guys? If those of you who are just tuning in for the first time don't know what John's talking about, my name is Ginger Cook. I'm an acrylic artist, and on Mondays we do something called Ginger Crumbs. In other words, on Tuesday nights we sometimes do a full painting, and I'm not saying who knows how far we'll get on this one tonight, but what we're going to focus on is one element of something in painting that you're going to want to know how to do. And if you're an acrylic artist, the way we paint is different than oil painting artists. So if you've been watching all those oil painting shows, which are very entertaining, I like to watch them too, when you go to paint your acrylics and nothing works because you're trying to make, your acrylics do not paint the same way, nor does your watercolor. If you're a watercolor artist, you know, you have to save out all the white, and then acrylic artists add the white last. So I'm telling you what, if I wanted to learn airbrush, I would have to find an airbrush artist to teach me how to do it. Just because I do acrylics doesn't mean I could cross over. And so what we're going to focus on tonight is how to do, well, two things. We're going to talk about a gradated sky. I have a small video on YouTube on how to do gradation skies already, but we'll do it again. Repetition never hurts anybody. And then the other thing we're going to talk about is how to paint from dark to light and get some sort of mountain going. I remember the first time I did, oh gosh, this was many years ago, I was trying to paint a series of mountains, and I fooled around with them, for weeks, really weeks. I had them and then I didn't, I had them and I didn't know it wasn't working. And then one day a light bulb went off in my head, and I said, oh, if I did it this way, that would just save like 50 steps. Okay, so that's what I'm here to show you. We're going to save those 50 steps. I'm going to show you how to do it in a simple, logical, easy to do manner that you can translate not just into mountains but other things that you're painting. But tonight we're going to do a mountain. John, if you wouldn't mind showing this this little scene we found here. This is some sort of red rocks, probably in the Utah desert.
There you go.
And someone's going to ask, where do you guys get the photo? We found this somewhere.
Pixel, P-E-X-E-L-S.
Yeah, it's a free photo site for
for any use,
for anybody to use, and we found this there, and I thought it was good because I needed something really simple. So people always say, well, why doesn't you put the colors out from the very beginning? Because we never change colors, except for one color. I did put out Southern Ocean Blue tonight, but if you didn't have that, it would be a mixture of phthalo green, phthalo blue, and a little white. So if you didn't have that, but basically, and you could use some other blue too, it just doesn't really matter. The whole idea is we're going to do a gradated sky, and we're going to dry that, and then we're going to show you how to put this mountain in. So the first thing, everybody says, what size brush do you use? It depends. It really depends on the size of the canvas you're using. Okay, so if you're using a small canvas, you'd use obviously a smaller brush. If you're using a giant, big canvas, you're going to use a bigger brush. Makes sense that we're using a 9x12. A brush that I kind of like for this, from this size canvas, is either a Ruby Satin Silver number 12, a bright brush like this, like that. Okay, or one of the filberts is nice too. Some people like the filberts because they're sort of rounded, they don't leave any marks. I'll show you how to not leave marks anyway. So what I want to start with is the background, all right? Now when you're doing a gradated sky, all right, before we get too far, I want to introduce John Little before we get into the painting. John Little is our producer of the show. He's my good friend, and he's the other half of GingerCookLive.gallery, where we do online acrylic lessons. And our aim in life is to, I've been painting for almost 50 years with acrylics, and maybe probably over now. And the thing of it is that I got to tell you that the knowledge that I have, I'm passing on to the world in a couple of ways. One on YouTube and one in our Academy of Fine Art acrylic art lessons. And I'm trying to show what I know and leave it, because a lot of the techniques, when I first started painting with acrylics back in 1965, nobody knew anything about them. And for the longest time, if as an artist, if you tried to even put a painting in a gallery with acrylics, nobody wanted it. They said, oh, what is it, acrylics? So we don't want it. So I mean, it was a hard road. Now most of my friends that are professional artists, and I'm a professional artist myself, everybody uses acrylics. Sometimes they'll throw a top coat over it of oil to say it's oil but they started out with acrylics in some way or other, unless of course we're talking portraits, and then I probably would go back to oil. So that being said, anyway, this is a good time. If you're watching the replay of this, please subscribe to our channel, share this information. If you guys haven't subscribed, we'd appreciate it. You hit that subscribe button. Therefore, when we're doing live shows, which we do on Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, that's Houston, Texas time, you'll get a little bell, a notice or something, okay? So here we got this canvas. You can see here, we're going to focus down here on my the sky here. You notice it's darker, and here's a rule. So give you some rules, like in spelling I after E except before C. Remember that rule? Well, there is a rule in painting that says that the sky is always lighter in the horizon unless there's a storm. Horizon line is where the sky meets the earth. Okay, so we're going to start from dark, and it's going to get lighter as we go down. Now the tricky way to do that, in watercolor you do it one way, but in acrylics you're going to do something else. So we're going to start with a little Southern Ocean blue like this. It's beautiful sort of turquoise color, and I've sanded my canvas, and I want to come across here like this, and I think I'm going to add a little bit of titanium white to that. Just a little bit. That's pretty. How about a little yellow? Let's put a little yellow in that. I want sort of a little bit more yellow here. Oh, that's pretty. Let's do that. I like the color in this photo. So I add a little tiny bit of yellow, cad yellow medium, to that Southern Ocean blue, just a tiny bit, and have this sort of pretty green blue sky. Isn't that pretty? Like that? Now, it's not necessarily realistic, but you know what? It's okay.
Is there a replacement for ultramarine blue?
No, there's no replacement for ultramarine blue. Though you could use ultramarine blue, you could have a replacement in that you could use phthalo blue red shade would be kind of ultramarine blue. And also, you can dump enough red into phthalo blue to kind of change it. For years, I never used ultramarine blue at all. So yeah, I guess there is. Okay, so here's this color. Now here's the trick. Now I'm going to get some white on the brush, and you guys can see my brush. I hope you can, right?
Absolutely.
And now I'm going to skip about 2 fingers, all right? Do you see this? Just going to pick up white, and I'm going to skip 2 fingers, and I'm going to come back and forth like this. Now I'm not using any retarding medium. Now look what happens. You see that's lighter. Now we're going to sneak this back, doing this, but we're going to sneak it back, and we're going to push pretty hard, and we're going to go over this seam. So we're not going to go up any higher than this. We're going to go over this seam. Now, and just keep working it in. Now, look what happened, okay? Isn't that cool? Now, do it again. Take some white, okay? White like the, ready, on the brush. Now, we're going to skip down about 2 fingers again, maybe 3. Come down here. Haven't rinsed the brush. Haven't done anything. Might put a tiny bit of water just on the tip. That's what that little water is there for, to loosen the paint a little bit. Now, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come back up, and when we get to this seam, we don't want stripes. We're going to overlap it. See that? Going to overlap. This is a cool technique. I'm telling you what, you can do this all the time. Isn't that just great? Kind of overlap it. You see that? Can you see it? Now, do I need to push this up a little bit, John?
No, I can move with you.
All right, so now we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to go back into the white paint. We're going to skip down here like this, a little tiny bit of water on the tips, a little more white, right in here like this. And we're just going to do, I want you to see how this whole canvas, now look how it's lighter all the way down to the bottom. Now it looks like that photo, doesn't it? Look at that. I mean, that's cool. Okay, and that's done with, now what we did was we went all the way across the canvas. You start off the canvas and you go all the way across, and then you go back, and you never stop in the middle. People don't think about that. All the way across, and there you have it. There's our gradated sky. Now what happens to this brush? We're not going to use this anymore tonight. It goes in the water and sits there till I have time to wash it. Now what I'm going to do while John's chatting to you about other fun things and stuff, and also, can I answer any questions?
Can you ask a question?
And answer any questions.
Yes. Is cobalt blue used, and if so, could you use it?
I don't know. You know, I have a whole thing on Adventures in Blue on YouTube. I suggest you watch it because it covers cobalt blue and all those colors. I never buy that. I don't own it. I own 2 blues. Well, 3 counting Southern Ocean blue. Southern Ocean blue.
So that was Southern Ocean blue.
That was Southern Ocean blue there with a little yellow in it. But you could have used phthalo blue and phthalo green with a little yellow and white too.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I think that's the only thing I had. So
all right. So we'll keep going. Okay.
Have fun. Is it working? Oh, I unplugged you.
You unplug me. Interesting.
Okay, you talk to the fans. I'm going to bring back your
All right,
opinion.
John. Oh, so
'Cause
what happens is, let me just explain something to you. We can't run this hair dryer in the same room with these lights. You know, I don't know if you guys ever watch
computers and
Green
everything
Acres when the hair dryer is at 8 and the lights are at 12 and you can only add up to, you know, you can't be higher than 12 kind of thing. So then you blow fuses. So we go clear down the hall with a big extension cord with this hair dryer. John's running it down. In fact, we talked to him. I talked to him about this tonight, you guys. I did. I said, there he goes. Here we go. He's coming back now. Now, wait a minute. Let me just move this. I'm going to just move this. There we go. And I'm going to move this because I don't want this blowing all over. Okay, now I'm going to start. All right?
No, not yet. I got to turn you off.
He's going to turn me off. Oh, really?
Oh, by the way, your hair looks marvelous.
Oh, thank you. Listen, somebody's going to ask me what I did
they've
with
already
this.
asked.
All right, I'm going to ask
Thousands of questions.
All right, so what I have is
we're going to do
a
that instead
banana
of drying?
clip.
Okay, go ahead.
I've got a banana clip in the back. All right, I'm going to dry now. Okay.
Oh, that's all you're going to say?
Well, I'll tell more later. I got to dry this.
Banana clip it is. All right. While she's drying that, we are off to a new year. We do want to let everybody know that we will not be live next week. I'm afraid a cruise came up on short notice at a closeout special, so we had to take it. So we'll be cruising January 8th through the 15th, and then we'll be back with more exciting things to do. Other than that, we've got some changes going on the website. Wave and Water people, I apologize. The lesson that was supposed to be for January is being edited. It's going to take me the whole month of January to do it. Well, she's getting loud. I got to get a different mic on my side. But we have a new lesson for you guys. I'm finishing putting that up, and that's for the Wave and Water people. Well, John, you are becoming quite... Oh, yes, we are. We are the cruisers. I broke out that we were leaving again.
Well, look, we didn't take a vacation over the Christmas. We normally would have, done the 2 weeks at Christmas, take a break. But that's the time when everybody has time off. So we felt it was more important to be making videos. So we went ahead and decided to take next week off as a fast vacation, but we'll still put videos up. Okay, on YouTube. Yeah. And we can still answer, because we have internet on the ship, we can still answer questions, and John can take care of stuff like we never left. It's cool. I mean, it's really cool. And we can, I can still do the art critiquing, for those of you who are members want art critiquing done. And I got to tell you something, I'm going to mention that too. I'm wiping my hands off a little bit. That's a new experience for me. You can just see them covered in paint. All right, let's put this picture back now and kind of show you.
Let me, hold on,
we're going to go back to here, this little camera.
Go back down.
And I'm going to put my tablet to, my palette back down. Isn't that pretty? Don't you love that? Okay, so now we're going to take a piece of chalk. These are new pastels. People always say, what are you using? New pastels. And what we're going to do is I'm going to come up 9 by 12. I'm going to come about 2 fingers on this side and about 4 fingers on this side. And I'm going to come over about a third and go about 3 fingers down. How's that? Now I'm going to start here, and I'm going to kind of aim this down like an ice cream cone, and then it's going to come down and then follow off this way. Is that showing up? Do I need a different color chalk?
A different color would be better. A
darker
one
so
would
this,
be better.
I love this. My new pastels, they're about $1. I get them at Jerry's, but other companies have them. They're really nice. I like the soft colors. I would only use a dark brown if I knew I was going to paint over it, because the whites and the light colors erase pretty easily. When I start doing dark brown like this, it's not going to erase. Here, let's try this lighter one. Maybe that's sort of a compromise between the two. Here, oh yeah, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Like that. There it is. Okay, and then I'm going to say, coming across here, kind of uneven, like that, coming down. Then I've got another little mountain up here. Then here's a little point and something like this. All right, so then we've got something that's doing like a little mesa, some more little planes here, and then we've got something that's doing this, coming down this way. All right, like that. All right, just basically that's what we do. Now, the thing of it is that this is where people don't appreciate how cool it is with acrylics, because what we're going to do is we can take a small brush, like I don't have to take a very big one. Let's see, here's a ruby satin silver brush. It's a angle brush. I love these. I'm going to mention this again. I love these. John's kind of straightening everything out here. Is this showing? All right, I'm going to take burnt umber and a little dazzling purple, and I'm going to mix that together. All right, and then I'm going to come up here like this, and right over the dried acrylic, And I'm going to just paint everything dark on our little mountain, our little volcano-y mountain here, right? Make sure that this is jaggedy, and now I'll kind of fix it a little bit more. Make some jaggedy points like that. I like that word, jaggedy. You like that word? Just sort of fun. And I went to boarding school at Judson in Scottsdale, Arizona when I was 16. And the desert, I mean, coming from Washington State, I mean, the desert was so different. And this was before air conditioning. I guess there was air conditioning in the office, and so it paid to be delinquent and get in trouble because you could go sit in the office for a while, and that to me didn't seem like much of a punishment. You know, why are you here? And you couldn't really say, well, I'm here because it's hot outside, and I figured if I was smarted off to the teacher, I'd get to come in here and sit for a while. What do you think? But, you know, probably wouldn't have done, they would have made me sit outside or something. But anyway, that we had no air conditioning, and when I moved into the girls' dorm, it kind of like the situation with the hairdryer. There wasn't a lot of room for stuff in your room. So I was the first one to go out and buy a fan. I mean, no dorm. I had a fan, and I got a television. I went out and bought a fan and a television, okay? And I got permission, okay? And well, what they discovered was that my fan could work, but nobody else's could blow the fuses. So, like, I was the only one with the fan and the only one with the TV, okay? Which is, there was a TV down the hall. Little resentment there from a few people, but, you know, that's, you know, I mean, I thought of it first, okay? So, anyway, that was so weird. And my girlfriend, you know, a good friend of mine, my roommate, girlfriend, her father invented the egg carton. Isn't that interesting? That's cool. He invented the egg carton, and just, you know, it's interesting people. It's interesting people at that school. Okay, so now I'm going to take a little bit of burnt sienna and burnt umber, and I'm going to make this, and maybe a little purple. I'm going to change this a little bit, and I'm going to just make everything else sort of a dark reddish brown. Does that make sense? Underneath here, like that. Just cover all this up. So that was an interesting school. Judson was an interesting school. It's closed now, but it was open for a lot of years, and in Scottsdale. I was the youngest of 5 children, and my parents were kind of over the high school experience by the time I came along. And the year before that, they had sent me to boarding school in Switzerland, which was a trip in itself. That was interesting. And my sister's away at college. This came up, I think, because John and I were talking about driving, and I was explaining that when I was a kid, by the time I got a driver's license, my parents were reluctant to, you know, there were all the other kids that had some horrific automobile accidents, and being a parent now too, I understood the thinking on it, okay? I did kind of get where they were thinking. Now we're just going into burnt sienna, and maybe a little bit of yellow oxide here too. Let's just put some of that down in here, kind of changing the colors a little bit. But basically we're staying, you guys see it, we're staying here with the darks.
We've lost image.
Okay. We've lost image. So we have it back?
We have it back.
All right, so here, sorry you missed all that. We're just down here. So anyway, when I wanted to, this was, you know, I was, when I turned 16, of course, I was very excited to get a driver's license. They weren't so excited about it because my brothers and sisters had all had some pretty good accidents, and they weren't keen on the idea. But nonetheless, one of my brothers started, they didn't have driver's ed where I was going to school. They must have, but not where I went, not in the boarding schools. So my brother just kind of taught me to drive, and the first time I tried to do it, I ran the car in a ditch. And I mean, I didn't wreck the car, I just turned it into a ditch. It was just miscalculation on my part. Didn't really understand where the car would go when I pushed the gas. I mean, you know, you got to start somewhere. So anyway, eventually, you know, I got my license later that summer, and I went to take my one of my friends who was going to public school. I hadn't gone to boarding school yet. I told her I'd pick her up after school and we'd go somewhere. So my mother said, "What are you doing?" I says, "I'm going to go pick up Chris, and we're going to go get some hamburgers after school." She goes, you know, we were really good sports about letting you have a driver's license. This is a direct quote. Nobody said anything about letting you have the car. And they didn't. And I said, but why? And they said, well, you ran the car into a ditch. And I said, yeah, but that was the first time I tried it. You certainly can. They gave me a license. Well, they may have given you a license, but we don't feel comfortable with it. So I think I waited like another 6 months, and then suddenly the car, it was okay for me to take the car when it was no longer convenient for my mother to drive me places. All right, do you guys see how we've got this all dark? And you see how nicely it fits behind the mountain here? You guys see that? So I'm going to dry this one more time. John, this is the key. Drying in between.
The save button.
That's the Save As button, okay? And you'll notice how we've gotten some little craggy things here. Everything's a little different, right? Everything's a little bit different. Okay, so we're going to dry this real quick. I think that if you can do this to anything, all right? You know, anything is when you're thinking about find the dark color, then go for the lights, all right? I'm going to hit this light now, right?
Yep, go. All right, while she's doing that, we can answer a couple of these questions that are buzzing by. Why is the purple more expensive in Liquitex versus Golden? You guys answered that. It's the minerals they're using. Golden's got more in it. Has she ever done college transfers? No. And I think we addressed that one time, and there's a lot of requirements that just don't fit our style. Somebody up here asked a question about our memberships. We are working on our second year. Second year will be in May, so we're a year and a half, and we're about 50% full of the people that we will have in for our personal art coaching. And
you know, you can finish your sentence. It's okay. I'm just sitting there. I'm just doing this. What's this? There's some yellow on here. Where'd that come from?
It's on the back of that. You put your paper down into the palette, and I probably have it on film so I can prove it to you.
Oh, well, you know, I believe you. I mean, I just don't understand where it came from. See, now I
you
have
want
to
to know where
do
we're
this.
going? Oh, yeah, you have to use my nice new rag I got you.
Well, they're disposable. That's what disposable means, John. Did you not understand that term?
But there's 2 or 3 sides that could have been used for the whole week.
Listen, I don't think so. Now I've got just a hot mess here with this.
Totally yellow.
And now I'm just yellow. The other day at a painting party, Ashley somehow managed to get blue paint in my hair, and everybody was having a great fun with it. Yeah, paint in your hair. Really? What's in the back? Oh, how did that happen? Well, I squirted some of that paint, and it flew up in the air and over the top of my head. And now look at this. See, this is why we needed these things.
Well, you don't have to go through the whole pack today.
Well, we may.
Okay.
Sorry, but I mean, look at the size of the thing. I said, get some little wipes, you know. I don't know what you got.
Okay, look at the mess you just created. I wanted a jumbo. That's the biggest they had. I wanted bigger.
Uh-huh. All right.
Where are we going on our cruise? Doing the same trip again.
But we're going to take the paints, John and I are going to paint together. We're going to
have fun. Is
Now
Sammy going? They're asking, is Sammy going? Can you believe they asked a question like that?
Look at now, I've ruined my picture. You got to print me on another one.
That's not going to happen. I'm out of ink.
What?
I'm out of ink.
Well, this is useless.
Paint it. You have paint. Paint what you want on it.
No,
you will.
It's just.
You will.
Okay.
Oh, here's a good. Now this one's for you. I read somewhere that using a hairdryer is bad for the paint. Is that true?
No, it's not true.
Because I dry my work too for layering.
No, and I've been doing this for 50 years, and I'm telling you what, I've been doing the hairdryer, and I've had art collectors all over the world, and it's not bad for the paint. And if you want to be just silly, just use the cold air. But no, it's not bad for the paint. Absolutely not. In fact, it just isn't. And I've just been doing it forever. It's what's really bad for your painting is not drying it. Okay, now let's see. I think that's okay. I don't know that this matters, but I'm taking that off anyway.
I gotta go readjust the camera again before we start up.
Well, all right. Readjust it.
No yellow paint. No. Sammy is smart. He is way in the back. Is the gecko going? Okay. She won't let me take the gecko.
All right. So we're back to this. I'm going to start again here. So you're up to speed here with us?
No, I got to redo the camera again. We got to do something different with this.
So we've got an overhead camera and we've got a bar. And is it just slipping or what's the deal?
This seems to be, and it shouldn't be because everything's so tight.
How about a piece of duct tape that went under here and up and around? Just a thought. Okay. All right.
I like the thought. I like the way you're thinking.
All right. Well, it's just that would work for me. Duct tape. Okay. So anyway, we were talking about this. So what I'm going to do now is take a bit of yellow and a little bit of burnt sienna and make sort of a light brown color. Then we're going to take some yellow over here and make a little bit of orange color with Cad Red Medium. All right, you see how we're making these these colors? Now we've got a little bit of yellow oxide too. So I'm going to pinch the brush, not rinse it anymore. Now I'm going to come up here like this, and I'm going to say that I've got some light. I'm going to create some light color on this. Here's a little bit of the orange color. I'm going to create it on this mountain. Now the trick is, you only need a couple of colors. Your light's coming this way, all right? So you start with the dark color, take most of the paint off the brush, and then you can come and you can just very nicely start layering your colors down, all right? Now there's going to be a shadow here. Do you see the shadow? So there'll be a shadow on this one, so I'll leave that. Come down here like that. Get more paint, tap it off here like this. Now the thing about these red rocks in Arizona and New Mexico and stuff is, in the United States, and I don't know, I haven't been other places where other countries they have these, that they're not unique to the United States, is that they're in layers of different reds and stuff, okay? But there are shadow areas in red. Now look what happened already. We're just coming down here like this, and just by looking at the picture, we're creating a sort of a 3D effect with our rocks. Now this is what I kind of wanted to, really emphasize here. Here was a little bit of a slag type, kind of a pointy thing here, maybe something here like this. And you see I'm going pretty fast. Now I think we had something here that we're going to do like that and then down. And then it's going to come this way, come around here like this. Now this is really not difficult. It takes a little patience sometimes to paint something like this, because you're doing this, you're letting it dry. But if you understand the paint order, that's so important. So anyway, John and I were talking about women driving tonight. I think this all came up when talking about women and the perception of women driving in the United States. And I think that sometimes there's a perception that that women are not as good at drivers as men. I think that there's but I don't think that that's true at all. And I think now, with the way that driver's ed is taught with the kids in school and stuff, that we have some really good drivers in the United States. Both men and women. I think that the school systems have really done a marvelous job. I mean, I think about my brothers and sisters who all had accidents. None of them ever had available to them those kinds of trainings. That driver's ed stuff is really a great thing. And I think it's a kind of a cool thing. So anyway, we were talking about that, and we think it's not too far away where the cars are almost driving themselves now. About the time, they have cars that can back up and cars that can do all that stuff. I think that is so cool. All right, now see how I've kept all these dark areas? Now what's happening down here? Well, what do I know? I know I can take a little yellow oxide. I know I've got something going this way. So as long as I'm letting that dry, I want you to just kind of see how this would work, all right? Now, I'm going to just take all the paint off the brush. Remember, the light's coming from the top here, from the right. Now, all I have to do, dry brush these little curvy hills on. A little bit of paint on the brush, then wipe it off. Okay, like this. Almost like snow mounds, all right? Like this, and saying over here.
Let me just interrupt for a half a second.
Yeah.
If you're looking for the printer that Ginger was talking about on Sunday's impromptu lesson, in the comments we have our affiliate link right at the top of the comments. So you can find it there. It's also on the Facebook page.
Well, what's so cool about this printer? I got this printer last year, and the way that the HP people did it was that you have a subscription basis. I think mine's under $5 a month, okay? And I can print up to 50 pictures, and they don't care if they're full color. Well, I think they were figuring most people would be printing like typewritten pages, but artists are going 50 pictures. Are you all serious? Now here, we're going to start lightening this up here, like there, because I want it a little bit lighter right there. Put a little bit of white and yellow with this, right? Like that. There you go. I'm going to lighten this up here. Now we're going to start adding a little bit more light in a few places. See that? We're starting to layer here. When it's still wet, but I've kind of come back to that a little bit. Starting to add some light highlights. And I want you to see, that's kind of cool. Don't you think this is a cool way that you would paint something rather than just layer, start the darkest color, then the next color, and start layering these colors over. And let's see, I think right up in here there was some real pretty kind of yellow features. And of course, if it didn't paint, then what I would be drying it. So anyway, that's
Dawn, you'd probably have to check with HP if you have an HP printer if it qualifies for it. I don't know if that's a new series they came out with or if old ones can qualify.
I think it is a new thing because the printer talks to them. They know when you're out of ink, like Santa Claus, and then they start sending you ink. You never order ink, and they'll send you a bill statement every month, and you can see how much ink you've used. And if you go over your allotted 50 or 100 or whatever you think you're going to need to print, what they do is really cool. Is they that was $1 for another 15. I mean, that's just absolutely amazing, don't you think so? $1 for another 15. I mean, that is such a great deal. Now I'm going into more of the oranges color, see, and brightening this up here. Everything's getting layered up here. See that?
Oh, you're asking if you wanted the picture of the reference as well as the picture? Nope, can't do both right now. Sorry. And everybody wanted palette. Maybe you can get her to pull the picture down once in a while, or I can flip up if she's
well,
stuck.
I can show people. I can show. Look here. Can you see that?
Slide it over. Well, okay, no, just leave it where it is. I'm going to scoot over towards you.
Sure. Yeah, no, I'm happy to show that to you. I didn't know they weren't seeing it, John.
Well, no, I can't get it all in there.
Well, so you say. Okay. But tell me.
Well, okay, bring it back. Put it back on top. I'll zoom back out. Let's see if I like that for a while.
Okay. All right. So it just what?
No, I can't zoom out anymore. It's already tipped again.
Okay, so just you've got to re-straighten it up, right?
Yeah, I got it.
So when you try to move this camera, then it doesn't like the mounting. It's basically, we've got it mounted on the bar, and it's not happy. It needs duct tape. I'm telling you.
Well, you think the world runs on duct tape, don't you?
It does. It does. It runs on duct tape. And that's just clever invention. Certain things. Velcro's a clever invention. Duct tape was a clever invention. All right, do you see what we're doing? I mean, look how beautifully this is painting, and it's not taking very long to paint it, is it?
Well, no, but you're a master.
Yeah, but John, okay, that's fun, and that's true, John. That's true. But I'm just saying it wouldn't take anybody very long because I just showed you how to do it, right?
That's true. We just follow along.
You don't
just do what Ginger does.
And it doesn't take very long. Now over here, we've got something a little bit grayer. So we're going to mix a gray. So we take some ultramarine blue, a little bit of white, okay, and cad red medium. And we're going to make a gray color. A little bit more ultramarine blue in there. Now we've got this sort of blue-gray color and a little tiny bit of brown to it, okay? Now a little more white here, up here in the corner. Do you see how I'm making this gray color?
Yeah, they can see that.
All right, so now that's not black. That's just gray. So then I can come up in here like this. This is a little bit lighter, but it isn't quite that. Does that make sense? So here's a little bit of gray in here into this dark down here like that. A little bit of gray, so it's not just the red. You know, we just put a little bit of gray in here in a couple of places, and like down here on this side, it's almost a purpley gray color. And we saw a little bit of it down here on this side. So it's a cool, all right, this is a cool gray and a warm colors. Does that make sense? There's cool colors and warm colors. And of course I've smudged all this. I have no idea what that's supposed to look like, John, because I've smudged it and you didn't give me another one. And you have no more ink and I would have printed out something else. Okay.
Blah, blah, blah,
blah.
Just. Blah, blah, blah. They want to know, do you speak French?
Do I speak French? Well, listen, I was one of those kids that was just terrible with languages. And so even though I went to school in Switzerland, and I took French. I took all these classes in French. Really, I was a terrible student. And but you have to understand, too, that there was a little bit of teenage angst involved in all this, too. All right, in all fairness, okay? So basically, I felt really shipped out. My mother and I had this big fight. I was the last kid home. And she was just, again, said there'd been automobile accidents, and my sister was a problem, and she just felt like children were a problem, and she'd adopted all of us anyway, and I think she was regretting it, and there was nobody to give us back to. So then the next best thing was boarding school. So I remember a true story. she said, well, you're going to go back to this Anti-Rite seminary school. Man, I did not want to go back there. That was just terrible. Did not want to go there, Tacoma.
That's a good idea.
And I'd gone there when I was in 4th grade, and I really wasn't looking forward to that. And so at that time, my mother, who was all the rage and among all these moms, was that all the kids were in some sort of therapy. That was the thing, that if your kid wasn't in therapy, you weren't a good parent. And of course, we had all been adopted, so naturally we had all kinds of reason to be in therapy, even though we all had the same family. I think I was 5 when they took me, and my oldest brother was 15. My sister refused to go to the therapist, but I actually liked him, and he was like an ally, because I had Fruit Loops for people that adopted me. I mean, they were crazy, and as a kid, you wouldn't understand that. I mean, they drank. I mean, you wouldn't know that. You know, they had this Jekyll Hyde personality. One minute they were really swell, and then you just think they were just the best, and then the next minute you're ducking because you're going to get knocked in the head for something, and you're not just sure what happened. And I mean, I didn't understand. And when you're a kid, you don't understand the effects of alcohol and our tempers or what's happened with an adult life. So anyway, so he gave me permission to not like him. This was huge. I'm huge. I mean, just because you're supposed to like your parents. I mean, that's kind of a rule. And he said, you don't have to like them. He didn't. He was afraid to do much more than that because they were fairly powerful people. But he did give me permission. So when I came back, he said, they're threatening boarding school with me. I'd been in public school for junior high. They're threatening boarding school again. He said, well, he says, I can write a letter, and trust me, they won't take you. And, you know, you don't have to do anything. Don't do anything crazy. I can just write a letter, and it'll never happen, kid. So I'm going, oh, see, but in those days, I didn't know when to just keep silence, you know, just let it see how that worked, right? So when the boarding school got around to talking again, getting a little more orange color here, this was sort of weird. We got to talking about that, and I said, well, Dr. Kaufman says that just go ahead and try to put me in boarding school, because he will write a letter, and good luck with that. You know, something like that. Very snotty, too. I was like 15. Just a brat, right? And so, but, you know, on the other hand, I think about some of the stuff they did. There's some fairness here. Okay, so I'm kind of, do you see how fast this painting's going together? So anyway, so the soap opera goes, and my mother said, well, if that's the case, then you're going to go, I will put you to boarding school, Switzerland. You will go to Switzerland. And he has no reach there, because he was a pretty powerful guy there, and he's no reach. Even though my adopted father was a judge and everything, you know, the psychiatrist had kind of ruled, I think. And everybody in our family went to the therapist. My mother went. She had been going for years. Didn't seem to help. I don't know what her deal was. I don't know. Maybe she would have been worse. I don't know. Anyway. So I came back and said this, and you're still doing this, right, like that, right? And so she said, she said, you know, well, we'll find Switzerland. And I stomped off because we were in kind of a big fight. And then I came back and said, what kind of school in Switzerland? What do you mean, Switzerland? What you got? What are you thinking about, Switzerland? What were you thinking? And of course, she hadn't had any thought at all. She just blurted it out because she was mad. You know how people do, right? But then suddenly, we had nothing else. She was an organizer. This woman could organize. And, you know, this was no internet or anything. Man, she had a boarding school picked out in a week. And within 2 weeks, we were flying over there. I mean, that's how fast that went. I mean, I packed her bags. We were gone. Seriously, that's how fast it was. And this is where I ended up learning French, and I took all these classes because there was nothing to do. They went to school on Saturday. I took everything.
Why are we looking at this? Come on, guys, give me a break. We're working on this. This is a work in progress.
All right, so how are we doing?
Oh, you're doing great. They were looking at the floor for a while.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, don't worry about it.
Well, I feel bad. I mean, they're looking at the floor. Well, I hope the story's entertaining, because anyway, so I get into Switzerland. Mother, you know, and people that do speak French. And I had taken a little tiny French in first grade, a little bit of French, like Le Papillon flew, and you'd raise your finger, Le chaise flew, and you didn't raise your hand, kind of thing, because chairs don't fly, you know. In first grade, at one of my little private schools that I'd been carted off to, and I learned a little bit, but really I had no language skills, still have no language skills. So we got over there, and I was at that age when even if they had been my natural parents, you try to pretend like you were hatched, that you don't know these people. And she couldn't speak French at all, and she listened to some records, Berlitz records or something, and was trying to speak French to people. It was so embarrassing, I thought I was just going to die.
Oh, speaking of that, do you speak French? Somebody asked that question.
I know, we're talking about that. This is where this came up, boarding school in Switzerland. So I think probably I resisted learning because I felt that if you couldn't speak it well, you shouldn't try. Now I so admire the fact that she tried anyway. Different perspective, it's interesting, than when you had it before, all right? But then it was just, oh my gosh, she's talking again. She's going to, there's nowhere to hide. She's going to try and speak to people. And who knows what she's going to say, and it's going to be awful. Okay, do you guys see how beautifully this paints in? Just starting the mountain dark. Can they see it, John?
Yeah. Take the picture off the corner for a second so we can see the...
Sure.
Because I'm not seeing much there. That's good.
Yeah, I can do that. Now I'm going to rinse my brush for a second. And this is a good time to just dry everything. You know what I mean? You've done quite a bit. We still have to go back and do things, but you see we've got a little purple here. We've got a little, we've put some stuff down. We haven't done everything, but we've got a lot of this blended in, I think, which isn't bad, for the small amount of time that we're doing.
Oh, I think it's looking great.
Yeah. So I'm going to dry that,
Of course
and then I'll continue on with the saga of boarding school in Switzerland.
Oh, stay tuned after these commercial message.
There you go.
All right, she's going to be drying that. And what else we got going on? Did I see anything else going on? Oh, you like my Crocs? Those are my new pair of Crocs. Getting ready for, I don't know what season, I guess fall. More views. I'm loving we have more views. I love you guys. Thank you. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't. Thumbs up, share us. We're trying to get the word out. Everybody else has got 3 times the people that we do, and we don't understand it. We think we have the best show in town, but maybe we don't. We need the votes, people. Help us promote us. We'd love to do more for you guys. And and there she's back. Is there anything else? I haven't turned her on yet, so she can't talk. She's all quiet. All right, she can talk now.
You're just a riot.
I love to have that control. I mean,
obviously
enough ginger, turn her down.
Well,
I
yeah.
think that works. Oh, here's a good one. John, maybe it's ginger that keeps moving and not the camera.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back with some dark now. And I'm going to put in a few dark shadows here back into my mountains now, just like that, right? I'm just going to add a few back. Maybe there's like a little shadow up here on this mountain with a little purple. See how I can create one? Maybe from this, like that. See, that's the shadow for this. That might be there. And now we're just going to say it's pretty dark right here. So do I need to? This is where you'd go back. And I don't know, some of you people are more fiddly than me, and we don't have time to fiddle this for hours, but you would go back then and, maybe create a few little more darks and a few little cracks where you might have missed some, and just some little levels of stuff. But you see, this way, you're pretty good. Now, look, we've got something going here. We've got some dark coming down here. That's over here. We can start creating a little dark in here like that, down here at the base.
What did you do to create your dark color?
I just used purple and burnt umber.
Okay.
Okay. So.
Sorry, I dozed off for a second there. I was reading these. Ginger, what's a good way to avoid drag when you paint?
Use more paint.
That's what I thought.
Use more paint. If you want to avoid drag, use more paint. Okay, so there, I would say that now what I want to do now is sort of turn on the lights a little bit. Now I put a little bit of dark back here. And could you do more of that? Oh, probably. But, and you don't want everything just pointy. I want to mention that too. So you see, this is a thing what we talk about cloning, where you have a tendency to want to make the same shape. So maybe I would deliberately come up here with some orange now, and a little bit of yellow, cad red medium and yellow, which is a nice orange color. And maybe just, kind of turn on the lights a little bit. Let's take a little white and yellow and make a little light color. Now let's come back, because we've dried stuff. Now let's come back and turn on some lights. See what I'm doing? Like here, just here's some light maybe on this one right here. Come here, lights coming this way. Sound effects and everything, right? And you don't want it everywhere. We talked about that, but you might want it just in a couple places to indicate, and then coming up here from the bottom. Might be some like that. Now, that's a little bright. Let's put a little bit of yellow oxide over that. Now, I'm going to lighten up this a little bit down here, like that. And I think there was, in this case, they had some telephone poles. I'd have to look at this picture really close to see what's in here. I don't think it really matters. You could put something, a cactus or something, you could put a little telephone pole if you wanted. That's not the point of this anyway. The whole idea behind this, this whole little exercise is how you start with something dark, all right? And then add the lights to it. This is the whole key to this thing. Start with that. Now we're going to come back here and break this up here with some canyons. We're putting in these dark canyons. So, anyway.
How about this question here? Do you use a floating medium?
I'm not using any mediums. No, I'm not using any mediums.
That's all natural acrylic paint.
This is all natural acrylic paint. I use more paint. I use a little water. You know,
Very
if I were
little water.
doing this on a 40 by 8 by 60 canvas, on this background, I probably would use a medium. The bigger the canvas, the more you need to you know, you might use like a slow dry blending medium, or a good one is what?
It's up in it's in the front box.
Is this? Where is it? I give up.
It's the Grumbacher in the front.
It's the Grumbacher. Was
In
it
the
on-
front. In the front.
Oh, in the front. I moved it. Yeah, thanks. It's the Grumbacher. This is a good one too for, you know, if you were using a bigger canvas. This is pretty small. You don't really need it. Probably up to 30 by 40. I wouldn't bother. You know, but that's just me. I understand how much paint to use, right? Now let's just.
We have a question. See on the edge there, you didn't get the sky quite to the edge. How would you fix that?
You can't.
You can't.
You can't fix it.
You're committed as it
You're
is.
committed. You better get that sky right, because you can't fix this.
Yeah.
All right. I hate to tell you that. Now let's just, for the fun of it, since I said that, let's try, shall we?
Oh, you are a brave person.
Let's try, because I want you to see why you can't fix it. Does that make sense?
Let's zoom in on that.
All right. Let's zoom on that. So what you have to do is get pretty close to the color, right?
That was a little
And if all right, that's pretty close to the color. And if I were to fix it, I would just lift my brush up like that.
You could at least hide it a little bit, don't it?
You can hide it. It's not going to be perfect, but you can hide it a little bit. You know, and that would be covered by the frame anyway. And the same thing with the darker color up here in the corner. But it's better to just make sure you've got it right to begin with. See, this darker one up here. Okay, there you go. So that would be sort of it. And the same thing with here. This, when you frame that, that would be hidden by the frame. Otherwise, make sure you've covered it correctly. You know, that's absolutely, and that's a good point. I'm glad you asked that question, because you really, really are not going to fix that. Now we're going to take a little bit of Cad Red medium and a little bit of water, like this, and we're going to just go over. Let's see, a little
that's
bit of
cool.
water.
That's cool.
We want to turn the lights on a little bit with this, with a little bit of red. This is where glazing medium would be good too. Just that's too bright, but let's just. I want to in a couple places, and the reason being is that turquoise. I'm going to put a little more yellow with that. Turquoise
figures.
and orange are opposite on the color wheel, so that when you start adding. When you put these combination together, it's just beautiful. It does something to our senses. We really love it. We have a tendency to just gravitate toward pictures that have that kind of stuff in it: red and green, turquoise and orange, purple and yellow. Okay, so you'll notice that we're using a lot of purple in here for our background color. Okay. Now there also might be some, some cracks going not just up and down, but across, too. So you just don't want them all the same direction. Here's this sort of winding trail. We could, for instance, if we wanted to, suggest that there was a kind of a trail coming up around here just by doing something like this. See? We could make a path. You could put a castle up here, a little house or something. You could do anything. But the whole idea behind this painting was to show you, this is the whole idea behind this whole thing, was how you start with the dark first, and then you go, and gravitate into the light painting. And then if you wanted to see, let's see if I have any other brushes I can show you that might be useful.
When is Ginger going live on Facebook?
Well, but I don't understand. I mean, I don't know. Is that a good idea to go on live on Facebook? What would be the benefit of going live on Facebook? I'm not sure.
I have no idea. We don't have that many people over there that follow us.
We have like 1,000 friends. You can friend us on Facebook. John will give you the thing. We had more friends, maybe. We only got 1,000 friends. Not that we don't appreciate every one of you.
Every single one of you.
And we appreciate all our friends here. Here's a little brush here. Now I'm just going to tap this on here like this and maybe create some
If you wanted to add a
texture.
person to this, how big would the person be?
Oh, tiny, like that big.
This is a mountain, people.
This is a mountain. You wouldn't add a person to this. This would not be, you wouldn't add a mountain. You might, for instance, you could add some birds or something, maybe flying back up in here like this. You could add some birds, but you wouldn't add a person. You could add some tiny cactus maybe. You might do that because look, even the telephone pole in here was very small. Here was this sort of lone telephone pole. I'll show you. It was right here. And it came up like this. And I mean, you think about a telephone pole. Here's our telephone pole right there.
And what was it sitting there doing nothing?
Well, I don't know. It's not my, I don't know. I'm just following, I'm just telling you what was in the pictures. You know, as artists, you got to come up with something, right? So now remember, the light's on this side, so then this side of the telephone pole would be darker. This is where I need my glasses. I put them here too, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
So I'd have them.
Front corner.
This is when you're talking about getting this small. Now I got to put my glasses on, and I would turn it this way, and I would just, you know, because I've got to paint right up here against this edge here, and it's very rough, this canvas. But this is my telephone pole right here, like that. So, and then listen, your horizon line is back here somewhere, way back here. So the next telephone pole would be so small, all right? It would be like this. This would be the telephone pole here. There'd be another one just very tiny. Like that. If you wanted to say there was a telephone, some telephone poles, maybe there was a little house up here. You could put a little house or something. You know, that would be fun. I mean, just guys, you know, your imagination just gave you a start, and I thought it was a very good something simple we could do in a short amount of time to show you how you can use few colors to create just a few colors to create the effect of a mountain, and you just don't need that much to make that work. You just don't. You just you know, here's a little light gray here like this. I don't know if there's any place else we need that. Put a little more blue with it, a little brown with it, kind of our brown gray color. And I think we kind of come up here and heighten this mountain a couple places. And actually just a few things like this. But there's not a lot going on here. This is just really a pretty simple, very, very simple painting. And it wouldn't take that long, and you could spend a few more times. But what if you wanted to paint the Grand Canyon? You would do it the same way, right? You would do it the same way. Now can you keep adding more detail and adding more rocks and getting a little more crazy? Sure, why not? You can do that. And come back up here with a few more highlights. If you didn't watch our special show on Degas, and how he used light in his painting, please try to catch that. We did that as a surprise show. We're testing this equipment. Obviously, we needed to test some more. I still want some brighter colors up here, just some slight brighter colors up in here to kind of let your eye follow the light here, a couple of places. But I would say this was it, John. I mean, we're really not going to do a lot more than this. Just
I think you got it good.
I think we might just brighten up something a couple places. This is where you get your arty on now and decide what you're going to do. Let's see.
Get your arty on.
Get your arty on, don't you think so? Put your arty stuff on, and then could you put, like, where would the vultures be? I mean, this is the size of a telephone pole, like for instance, this is the size here of the telephone pole. Where would the let's see, it would be thinner here too. I'm telling you what, this would be really skinny, this little one right here, like that. I mean, where would it go? I mean, I don't know.
I'm trying to understand why a telephone pole is going to the mountain anyways.
Well, we don't know. And
There's a hermit in the mountain.
Yeah, he's gold mining or something, right? You could put a very tiny little motorcycle guy going up the road. I don't know, but you really wouldn't see much. At this point, this is definitely what would be classified as a landscape, a mountain landscape. Okay, that's what this is, mountain landscape. And this is probably all it would be, is a mountain landscape. And let's just put a little more red here, just a couple of places. Did it flip again?
Yeah, we're gonna do something different. I don't know what yet, but we have a whole 24 hours.
We have 24 hours till tomorrow night to come up with Plan B because we're going to do something fun tomorrow night. We're going to do a Toulouse-Lautrec tomorrow night. I'm going to paint
It's a good one too.
And I first saw his artwork when I went to school in Switzerland. And one thing about it, we went to museums, we went to candy places, we went places, right? I had a good time in Switzerland. It was one of my better decisions. I'm glad I went. And then my mother and I got along much better when I was out of the country. Just sure. Okay, see what we did with the red, and we're going to come down here, put a little bit of this red kind of here, and just warm that up. All right, I would say that's our picture. How does this end anyway? Oh yeah, it goes all the way off here.
How does it end? How does the story end?
How does the story end? But we did get along better. She was funny. If you haven't heard the story of how, if you watch the lobster video on our website, gingercooklive.gallery, I teach you how to paint the lobster. I tell you about going to Mallorca with my mother, how she tried to fix me up on blind dates so she'd have a better vacation. This is bizarre. Anyway, stories of my mother. Okay, all right, so here we go. I'm going to just create another plane right there. I mean, I could just sit here and play another hour on this, but I think we can call it done, John. I think that for the purpose of the demonstration, what I wanted to show, I think we can call it done.
I think we can. Let's go to main camera. And there you are.
Okay, so now the question came up, something about this hair clip. The hair, thank you if you like my hair. Their comment was that the hair was getting in the way. And so back in the day, can I say that without sounding too old? Back in the day, there was a time, some of you may remember, a lot of my fans remember this, there was a time when we used banana clips to just, if you had your hair all curly, you just put the banana clip and you just pull it up in the back and clip it, and it goes all curly down the back. Can I show them the back?
Well, if you turn your head around.
I'm going to turn my head around. Let you see the back.
Whoa. See? Looks good.
See? There's actually two. There's a banana clip here, and there's another one up here. I've got two.
Okay.
In here, so like that. So that's how I kept it up, and it's all curly. And this is good for like today. And then if I needed to do something else, I'd have to wash all the hairspray off and start again. This wouldn't do This is not a 2-day hair thing. But we thought we'd try the banana clips. I remember those working.
And and that's great when we're doing an overhead where I'm not trying to shoot around your backside, on the side angles where your hair always gets in the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was, it was good.
Well, and the other thing, too, is I want to point out is that if you were doing a very busy mount like this, you want a very clear sky. You don't want a lot of clouds because this is too much visual noise. You've got a lot going on here, so you wouldn't want anything else, okay? You want the sky to be very, very plain. I think I put some mixing white out there. And can I show you real quick what you could do with that, as long as I'm
Yeah,
doing
since you have it out. Absolutely.
We have it out, and we bought the mixing white, right? Shall I show you what else you could do with it? All right, so if you had some mixing white, which we do.
You said you did.
Well, I do, and I'm just saying, if you had some, and is this dry? Let me just dry that real quick, that telephone pole.
All right.
All right, hang
you're
on.
going to push the telephone pole back?
No, I'll pin it back. I just don't want it smeared.
All right. All right, she's doing that for a little bit. We're about done with this show. And tomorrow, it's a great lesson. We found the painting. She's going to try it in the morning, make sure it's going to do what she wants to do. And that's going to be tomorrow's lesson, Learn to Paint with Ginger. That's at 7:30 Central Time, or as Ginger says, Ginger Time.
Okay.
All right, you're back.
I'm back. Now, as you recall, I had a little yellow chalk on here, and I'm going to just put where's the yellow chalk? I thought I had some yellow chalk out. Here's a little yellow chalk, like this, right along here on this edge. See my chalk? Now, I just put a little chalk there. Now I'm going to take some mixing white, which is your transparent white. You could use zinc. And I'm going to go over
the chalk?
Yeah, over the chalk. The chalk is going to dye the mixing white for me without adding too much color. And I'm going to come back around the mountain here like this and add like a kind of a desert haze. This sort of desert smoggy haze thing. And I might even come over some of this part of the desert.
Almost look like a sandstorm.
Yeah, almost like, well, look, you don't want to get too carried away, but you can come over this like this. You just sort of push some of this back. We showed you how to push some stuff back before, remember? And this is just, you don't want to get too much, but there is, then we'll take a little bit more mixing white. just like that. Put it in here like this and just sort of rub it around. And if you've dried everything, if you don't like it, you can take it off. But I would put it in both places, kind of back over here too, just back behind here like this. You can say that there's some clouds, kind of this desert, kind of mirage of clouds rising behind your picture. And here, let's put a little more of this right here like this. We'll kind of exaggerate a little bit like that, coming around here like this. And almost you can almost like a glow going around your mountain. It's sort of interesting. I wouldn't go up too much further than this. But see that? It's not, I mean, that's kind of indicates how you might do this. This is a smeared thing. It's not a cloud in case somebody came in late. This is where we smeared paint on that. Here's a little bit more here like that. And I'll just say that there might be a cloud here like this. And then you could have something here too. You could come up, say,
Can
here,
you pull the painting down a little bit towards you, because
you could pull it. You
yeah,
could. It's okay.
thanks.
You could come up here like this and suggest, just with a little mixing white, you could suggest that there might be some fog, some ground fog that's coming up from the heat of the day, like that, and take some of that out too. If you wanted to make it, just a little bit more dramatic, like that, you can do that. I mean, those are things. This is the kind of thing you can do with mixing white. Or if you want to just say that this is a little bit, you want to make this a little more hazy. The desert, the sun gets so bright, it almost does sometimes. Everything does get a little hazy. You're looking, and it's kind of out of focus and hazy. Or that could just be where I smeared the paint. Hard to know. But if you wanted that effect, this is how you'd get it, right? Now that you're seeing the picture. It's hard not to do it, but that's sort of pretty. I like that kind of, I kind of like that. I do, right? Let me just... I think that's, that's kind of, that's yellow there. Let me just show you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to just do this for a second.
We're going to keep going. I got to reset the camera.
You got to reset the camera so they can't see it? I'm just going to smear that a little bit with a paper towel. There you go. And do it one more time. Reset the camera. All right.
We had a question. Do you ever sell any of your... Oh, no, you're looking at my feet again. I got good looking feet though, trust me.
So he says. Just very happy with his feet. It's interesting.
It's not, I can't get the hold anymore. That little invention quit working.
Like I say, duct tape and rubber bands, bungee cords. All right. All right, how are we doing? Can you still see it?
And go.
All right, so this, I just put, I took a little of that yellow off. It's a little strong. Just put the mixing white clouds back. And I think that's pretty. That gives your desert sort of a, see, that puts this little bit of the desert way back into the distance. See what I mean? This just goes way back and gives you a little bit more atmospheric perspective. Mixing white's a great trick for that. Great trick. If I wanted to say, put this back and this forward, okay, that kind of thing. I would just take, and just even though it's not in the photograph, I mean, remember, we're artists, right? So I wanted to say this is back and this is forward. All I'd have to do is do something like this. Now this mountain now looks like it's behind this one. See?
Right.
Isn't that cool? I mean, that is cool, right?
That
I mean,
is
and
cool.
then you just come up here with a little more of the dark here, and then you make it so. See?
Ooh,
like
make
this.
it so. You sound like Star Trek.
Well, that's it. You make it so. There you go. So
Make it so, number one.
So as a look what we did to that. Just push these mountains back, brought this one forward, just using mixing white. So those are good things to learn. So anyway, great stuff to know how to do.
Okay, a couple questions. Main camera's on you, because it keeps slipping. All right, do you ever sell the painting that you make for YouTube?
Well, that's an interesting question. I have not sold the paintings I've made for YouTube. I have 2 angel paintings that we're going to be giving away. We were going to give away 1 angel painting to someone. We had a thing that ended the 31st of December, where if you knew someone that needed an angel in your life, some people wrote us, and I'm telling you what, this wasn't a contest on who could have the saddest story, but there were some sad stories that came, and John and I were just, practically in tears reading some of the things that have happened to people this year have been really, they need an angel. And I was going to give away 1, now I'm going to give away 2. And what we took the ones, we got 7, and we couldn't decide, because I mean there was some tragedy and just some loss, and who's to say whose tragedy is more than others? So what we did was we're going to do a drawing, and two of those, we're going to email you guys privately. And I'm going to mail out 2 angel paintings. The big one, the 16 by 20, I think it's over there. I can show that, John, real quick. I'm going to mail that to somebody. I'm going to give that away. And of those of you who wrote me, there's only 7 of you, so your odds of getting one are pretty good. And then the small one, it's right there behind there. And again, we're going to mail this. And this is a lesson that we have on. This is one of our lessons for January for our gingercooklive.gallery. See my roses? I want to show that one too. It's in your hand. Right? And, this is a new painting I just finished today. Let me put the angel down. It's a new painting I just finished today for Valentine's Day. If you're pays to be a member, we do the neatest pictures on gingercooklive.gallery. Comes with personal art coaching. But that being said, here's the angel, and we have a smaller version of this, and both of these are going to be mailed to somebody. And again, John and I decided the best thing to do was to sort of take the 7 letters that we got and let the universe decide, not us, who got these. And I just decided to go ahead and give both of them. I don't have time to paint all of you an angel. Each one of you wrote me a letter, an angel painting, but I'm going to imagine that everyone has angels with them, because and that with you. And if you didn't get my painting, I just know that we're thinking about you. I'm thinking of angels, sending angels your way in our thoughts. Anything else?
Yeah, could I use pastel with the mixing white where you used your chalk?
Yeah, I think so. Could you use pastel with the mixing white? You guys want to know a great secret? Shall I tell you a secret?
Oh, sure.
I've got a secret. Don't tell anybody else. It's just between us right now. I had this friend, okay, and is another artist. He lives some middle of nowhere, North Dakota, and he used to work for Disney for years, and he was fabulous. I mean, when he designed Joe Camel back when he was a commercial artist, and Cinderella. He did one of the Cinderellas. I mean, he's really good. He's so good. His paintings were just so precise. And when he would set up real live models, and he would absolutely spend hours on his artwork. And he did acrylics. Now, interesting. He did acrylics. And what he did was, when it came to the faces, okay, he didn't try to use acrylics. He didn't try to use acrylic paint. He used Prismacolor pencils, because you can use those with acrylics too. Wow. And then he took a little tiny bit of a Q-tip and what's called Bastine, which is rubber cement cleaner, and he very gently used the Q-tip to blend those. And it took me about 8 months to get him to tell me how he did it. Listen, everybody, why not share that information? I mean, it's kind of a secret. It's just between us. But, I mean, why not share that information? The next great artist maybe just needed that one piece to go, oh, man, if I'd known that, this painting would have come out so much better. There you go, see? So, sharing that.
Again, now that's a secret. Don't tell anybody.
It's just learn that on my channel. It's just us, right?
Just us guys here, okay?
Just us guys here.
There's one other thing.
Should I hold this painting up? This came out really good, you guys. Don't you think so?
Yeah, you could hold that up, because I certainly can't see it anymore.
Yeah, we can't see anymore. I just think this really came out good. I'm just really happy with this. I mean, I'm just thinking, if I hold this up and hold our photograph
Yeah, there you
like that. I mean, honestly, this wasn't that hard, was it?
No.
Great tip.
It was a good one.
Great tip. All right. I wanted to do
Something
that.
about drying medium. And I want to ask that the way because I think it was a gloss medium. She wants to know how to dry it. But hang on.
Okay, there's some other, some questions. So look, we've got quite a bit of paint left over, all right? Sometimes you'll see acrylic artists and they'll hang this vertically by their canvas. I don't know. I'm not afraid the stuff's going to run. I've got some paint left over. So this will go inside a cake plate. I'll mist it with a fine mister. I will use this tomorrow for something. I'm not going to throw all this paint out, all right? I'm not going to throw this paint out. And I'm using professional acrylics if that comes up. And the main colors we used tonight, well, we used all of them. We used ultramarine blue, we used burnt sienna, we used burnt umber, purple.
Oh, here we go.
Can
you ask her what is the best way to dry mediums like gloss?
Like what?
Gloss. How do you dry a gloss medium?
Go away.
Just let it dry.
Let it
Natural.
dry. Let it dry naturally. If you're varnishing a painting, gloss medium and varnish, here's the secret. I've got a thing on YouTube. I suggest everybody watch it. I do not fool around with this stuff. When I tell you how to varnish something, I don't care what anybody else says anywhere. I don't care what the directions on the bottle say. I absolutely know certain things work. And one of the major factors of ruining a painting is varnishing it wrong. And I've got 10 mistakes people make when varnishing. It's another YouTube a video that's up there right now. If you do it like that, you're going to, if you do it the way I suggest, it's going to work so much better for you. And the difference between a spray varnish, well, the gloss medium and varnishes, what they do is they bring the color out. They're color poppers. Where a spray acrylic varnish just sort of settles over everything. But you really want to just, I'm not a big fan of using a hairdryer on varnish. No. Though you can. Now here's something interesting. You can, for instance, take a matte varnish and suppose you had to do something really detailed. I mean really detailed. And it wasn't working. Just wasn't. Every time you put the brush it skipped. You know, acrylics are a little challenging to work with. The oil paints wouldn't do that to you. So what you do is you dry the painting and then you put the section matte varnish over the section that you want the detail and go away and let that dry. And then come back and it's like it fills in all the little crevices in the canvas and it's like slick, and then it's easier sometimes to do the detail. And you know, it's a good trick.
Oh, we do want to show the brush stand real quick that Manette got us.
Where's that?
It's going to be on their screen in a second.
Oh, it's going to be on the screen. That is the coolest brush
really
stand.
Cool.
Manette got us that, and I tell you what, I've got it right by the sink in the bathroom. John dragged it so he could show you. And this was a clever idea. All the brushes, you know, drying. You always want to dry your brushes flat. You never want to dry a wet brush up like this. It's a really bad mistake. Don't do that. You want them flat. Sometimes you can lay them flat in a paper towel, but this was very nice. It keeps them all flat, sort of very orderly, very nice for brushes. That was really cool. We appreciate that much. And behind me on my easel, can you see it? No, you can't.
Yeah, well, you know, they can. And they ask, how long did it take you to paint that? How long did it take to paint the one behind her? That'd be the painting behind you.
Oh, this took a while because it's all layered and stuff, and just the night and everything and stuff. I don't know. That probably took several weeks to paint that. Let's
get down to the end here. Anything else?
And then there was you just don't come up with the Grand Canyon by yourself. You know, there was probably 2 or 3 days of just finding reference photos and combining them and finding the reference photos for the horses and then finding reference photos for the knights. And I mean, that was it's like writing a book. All the research you have to do before you start. Okay, that was sort of fun too. I'm looking at this painting thinking, I could go back and add some more yellow here and there, but anyway, I'll just quit. The idea was that this was a fun thing to do, so that was just kind of neat. And I appreciated. One thing I got a lot out of my boarding school in Switzerland is I took art there, and the lady that was the daughter of the owner of the school, and she was a pretty good artist, and she was very helpful, and actually took me down to l'École des Beaux-Arts in Switzerland in Lausanne, and got me entered, and I was like, would have been the 10th grade, and they normally accepted students that were had 2 years of college and spoke good French. And I spoke terrible French. My French never was good. I could get by. I mean, I could order a sandwich or something, but we're not talking philosophy here. But I really resisted. I just
find it so hard to believe.
Well, some people they now know that if you teach a child languages before they're, a few months, between, when they're a baby, before they're a year old, their brain develops an ability to do languages. And of course, most Europeans all speak several languages in the house, and so they all grow up speaking lots of languages. It's a little harder for some of the rest of us.
So true.
But that's what translators are for, and friends who speak it.
All right, I think that's it. We've done another one. Another one is in the bag, as they say.
Well, thanks for watching, you guys. We really appreciate it. Likes and shares are really nice. And look, if your comment didn't get answered tonight, okay, here's what you do. Write us, and I'll answer it tomorrow night. Don't panic.
Go to our website, gingercooklive.gallery,
and
contact us.
And contact us. And I think tomorrow night we'll announce the winners of our angel painting. We'll let everybody know. We'll also contact people privately, but we'll let everybody know. Tomorrow night you'll get an email tomorrow if you won, and also we'll announce the winners of our. But we will not read the letters. Those letters were so heartfelt and private. Those will stay confidential between,
us and them.
us and them. But we will let everybody know who won the angel paintings. And we didn't quite answer that painting about do you ever sell YouTube? I haven't ever sold a painting. I've given a couple away from YouTube, but we're talking about maybe this year doing something kind of new where we're going to have a painting. I don't know. We haven't really fuzzed it out yet. But we're thinking about maybe having a painting every once in a while, and we're going to have like an opening, a bid on what I want for it, and then people can just send in.
So kind of like a silent auction.
Kind of like a silent auction, and the bid will close at, and if you want that particular painting, if you have a high bid, then you get it. That kind of thing. We're thinking about that.
Yeah, we're still debating that because we're getting a lot of paintings around here, and honestly, there's not enough room for all of them.
So anyway, so we're thinking about doing that, and it might be fun to do, and it'll be fun to own it, and it'll be personally. When you win it, you'll get it personally autographed by me to you on somewhere, with note and something like that. Be fun. So good night, thank you. Hey, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Comments are appreciated, and I really want to know what you think about our new show that we're doing about the life and the masters and how the master artists.
Learning from the masters.
Learning from the masters, because that's a cool thing we did last night. We're going to be doing more of those too.
And they'll all be impromptus.
Impromptus, just whenever we think about it. Like I say, tomorrow night we're going to do a really fun Toulouse-Lautrec painting. I think
it's great.
It's really cute.
Provided you can do it tonight or tomorrow to work it out.
Yeah.
Got
right.
to sketch it.
So
all right, Betty. We appreciate it, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. Bye, all.
Bye.